Hi, everyone. My name's Brenna Posey. I am a NOCD employee who also has OCD myself. I've gone through our NOCD therapy, and now I love to talk about it and try to help others. And I help run our Instagram and TikTok pages. It's at Treat My OCD if you want to check them out. Every Wednesday, I host an Instagram Q&A on our stories. So feel free to check our page out on Wednesdays as well if you want to ask a question about anything related to OCD, and I'll do my best to answer those through my lived experience. So today's video is going to be awesome because I'm going to talk about control and OCD. Because I think anyone that has OCD also has struggled at some point with control. And actually, when you take a step back and look at your experience, control has a huge impact in OCD. And if we're able to spot that and recognize what we're doing and grasping onto that control, we're able to see how letting go of control can be very, very helpful. But we don't even know that we're using control. So I think it's important to recognize that. So hopefully this video will be helpful for all of you that are struggling with OCD and struggling with some sort of control. And you're able to recognize that and, help conquer your OCD. All right. I'm going to talk about 3 ways that control has popped in my OCD experience and how I dealt with it. The first way control has showed up in my OCD experience is that I thought I could control what thoughts and what obsessions popped in my brain. Now, I think, someone that has OCD and anxiety and perfectionism, we want to be perfect. And a lot of times, our thoughts with OCD that come in our brain are far from perfection. And we think that we can control those thoughts, right? So a lot of times we go on this mission to control whatever pops in our brain and what leaves our brain. And it sounds logical when we're going through it, right? Because we, as people with OCD and anxiety, a lot of times want to be able to control what pops in our brain. And because a lot of times it can be extremely anxiety provoking what pops in our brain, right? A lot of times it's taboo thoughts, obsessions, sensations, feelings, urges, images, whatever it is. They come in our brain and we think, oh no, why did I let this come into my brain? And that can be a huge problem that we don't even know that we're doing this, but we think that we can control what pops in our brain. And the more that we try to control what pops in our brain, you'll probably go down a spiral of compulsions, which keeps us stuck in the OCD cycle. I think it's taken me years and just a lot of reflection to realize that we don't have that type of control about, over what pops in our brain. We don't have control. We can't decide what pops in our brain and when, but we can control our reaction to it, which we'll get into later in this video of how our reaction is actually really, really important. It's not about what pops in our brain. It's about how we react to what pops in our brain. The second way control has showed up in my OCD experience is I so badly wanted to control the future. And for some reason, I thought I had that control and that it was possible. And that if I just did everything now and made sure that certain thoughts didn't pop in my brain or certain events wouldn't happen in the future, that they wouldn't happen and that everything would go perfect to plan and my life would be great. Now, control is one of those things. This is also a huge lesson I've learned throughout my OCD experience, is that the more you try to control your obsessions and the future and certain events, certain people, the more that you try to control it, it will control you. I've written that down in a journal. I should probably put that in my room to remind me of that. The more that we try to control something, the more it will control you. And we think we have this control over everything whenever we really don't. You know, going through ERP and going through therapy has taught me that control is an illusion. We think that we have it, but in reality, it will control us. So, allowing us to let go of the idea of controlling what pops in our brain, events, people, the future, allowing us to let go of that control sounds counterintuitive and counterproductive, but it actually lets us have the freedom, because I think a lot of times people think that they can't and they won't be able to handle the bad feelings that comes with, if we don't have control over this, then something bad could happen. And then we think that we can't handle that bad thing. But over time with therapy, that's taught me that I can handle these hard situations. So why would I even try to control something whenever I know it'll control me? I'll go down a deep, dark path, and just for something that was supposed to happen, and I can't, and I know that I can handle it at that point. The third way control has popped in to my OCD experience is I thought I could control my anxiety and the feelings that came along with my OCD. And I want to be careful here, because we, in some ways, can control that, because we can control our reaction to the thoughts, but we can't control what feelings come up in our OCD. We have to let those come up naturally. And if we say, oh, I shouldn't feel this way, because feelings are a huge part of OCD. It makes OCD feel real, that aspect of everyone's like, my OCD, I can't get past it because it feels so real. And we think that our feelings, we can control those that come up with our OCD. We can't. And so allowing those feelings to be present helped me, and I hope could help you in your OCD experience, because feelings truly can trip people up when it comes to their OCD experience. We can't control that real feeling that OCD brings along with it. So, something to keep in mind, because that's really helped me. All right, let's talk about now things that you can control, because there's really not much that you can control with your OCD, but there's one important aspect that you can control that's really important and that's helped me. And that aspect is controlling your reaction to your obsessions. So let's break it down, because obsessions, it's a nuanced topic. And so obsessions can be intrusive thoughts, those what if thoughts, images, urges, feelings, sensations, anything like that that's unwanted. It goes against your values and creates a lot of anxiety. So those are obsessions. And compulsions, which is the second part of OCD, obsession and compulsions. Compulsions are anything that we try to do to get rid of the anxiety that our obsessions bring on, right? So normally, whenever you have OCD, you have your unwanted obsession, however it shows up. It creates a lot of anxiety, and then you feel the need to perform compulsions to get rid of that anxiety, because we think at that moment that we can't handle this anxiety and this uncertainty. So we perform compulsions to get rid of that. And I think people that have OCD probably know this by now. The more that we perform compulsions, either mentally or physically, the longer we'll be stuck in that OCD cycle. So when it comes to control, and whenever we can control our reactions to our obsessions, this can be extremely beneficial to our mental health and OCD journey. So whenever we give a reaction to the thought, say the thought comes in and it's, what if I snap and lose control and hurt myself or a loved one? And that creates a lot of anxiety, because in your brain, you would never do that. That goes against your values and you don't like that thought. And so a lot of times people with OCD, their reaction is, oh no, I can't have this thought. I need to push it away. Which a lot of times, whenever you don't understand OCD, it makes sense. Logically, your brain thinks, oh no, I need to push this away. And that actually is what keeps us stuck in the OCD cycle, because our brain sees that action. So the action could be mental or physical, saying, I don't want this thought. I need to get rid of it. I need to decipher what's really going on. I need to review my past events. I need to make sure that I don't want this to happen. Our brain sees that as a false threat, meaning that it notices that you're doing something to get rid of the anxiety and that thought or obsession. It realizes that you're doing that and thinks, oh no, this is an actual threat. And now I need to perform compulsions because it's a threat and I need to make sure that doesn't happen. And that is how the OCD cycle can stick around. And yeah, our brain thinks that we actually should be worried about those obsessions whenever we perform those compulsions. Now, whenever I talk about control in this way, we can control our reaction to the thought. And hence, the best reaction is no reaction, which takes sometimes a lot of time and patience and self-compassion to be able to get to this point. It's taken me years. I don't want to say I did this once and it was game over and my OCD was cured by doing this. No, that's not the case. But it's given me the freedom I need to and confidence in myself to show my brain that I don't need to perform a compulsion. I can sit with the anxiety that my obsessions bring on and then go on to live my life. So we can control our response/reaction to our obsessions. And a lot of times people find a lot of success by showing our brain that we don't need to react to our thought. We have this weird, gross thought that pops in our brain, and we're showing our brain that we don't need to push it away. We don't need to show it a reaction. We can sit with the anxiety, and our brain over time realizes that that threat is a false threat and we don't need to be worried about it. Now, what I just kind of explained right there is a big aspect of ERP therapy. So that is exposure response prevention therapy. And that's the gold standard treatment for OCD. All of our therapists here at NOCD are specialized in ERP therapy. And ERP teaches us how to not perform our compulsions either mentally or physically and sit with the anxiety that comes along with our obsessions. And of course, this is a gradual experience. You're going to start small and build your way up. But ERP teaches us that the best reaction to our thoughts is no reaction. And if you are wanting to go down this journey and wanting to learn more about ERP therapy, more about OCD, please give our team a free 15-minute call, and they would love to chat more about that and potentially get you set up with a therapist in your area that can help do ERP therapy with you. And I can't express how much ERP has affected me. It's not just helped my OCD, it's helped my anxiety. It helped me reframe my anxiety. Whenever I wanted to push anxiety away, it made my anxiety worse. So allowing myself to feel anxious and knowing that I'm strong enough to get through this wave of anxiety, ERP taught me that. And it gave me more confidence and tolerance to these negative feelings so that I can live the life that I want to live. And so I don't get stuck down this spiral. So I hope this video helps you if you're in the middle of an OCD cycle. I hope you can recognize whenever you're trying to control some things and some aspects of your OCD, and know that control feels easy and it feels real. But the more that we try to control things, the more it'll control you.